Hey there, everybody. Oh, gee, guess we're over here now. Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, where I usually like to discuss interesting things between the US and the UK, and anything else I kind of find interesting. It's what I do. So, if you didn't know this, I went on a road trip in California recently, did a whole thing from Los Angeles to Big Sur and Yosemite. It was an amazing time. But because I'd been out of the States for so long and just been in the UK due to COVID, I experienced such a strong amount of reverse culture shock, unlike any I've experienced so far. It was just a lot of weird things where I was like, is this a thing? It felt, for the first time in so long, like, this isn't where I'm used to anymore. It's weird. And so that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today, because there was a lot of things I noticed that were just a bit weird. And also, before we get into it, today's video is sponsored by One Piece. They make this lovely jacket. Oh no, it is a one piece. Whoa, it's a onesie. It's the most comfortable thing ever. I've been lounging in this literally days on end. I feel like people on Insta stories are like, are you gonna change out of that thing? No, it's too comfortable. Also, bathroom trips, there's a zipper on the other way as well, so boom, easy pie. This one's the Sunday school uniform. I think it looks, really nice. I actually own a jacket that looks very similar to this, so it's kind of like, perfect, fits my style. They've got lots of other designs and such, and oh boy, I just love being comfortable all the time around my flat. And if you'd like to pick yourself up a one piece, they're giving away a 25% discount just to my followers. Evan25 is a discount code. I don't think I've ever been given a discount code that large for a brand, but there you go. Thank you very much, One Piece, for sponsoring. Get yourself one of these boys and get comfy. But without further ado, interesting thing number one that I noticed about the Americas. The first thing that really blew me away was mask culture. You see, from all the media that I had been consuming over the last 2-3 years, I've seen too many posts, like if you haven't seen my video from last week yet, where someone's like, social distancing is communism. You know, that's the type of things that we as British people really see from the US, as those crazy fringe people that aren't representative of everyone, but it just seems like there's a lot of them. And I also had seen multiple YouTube videos of people going around Venice Beach talking to people about why they're not wearing masks, and there's some crazy people out there. And so, especially because this was in Los Angeles, this video, I was really expecting to see no masks, to see it be super lax, pardon the pun. It was quite the opposite. I'd say that the mask culture in Los Angeles and all of California, I'd say from my experience on the trip, was so intense compared to the UK. In London specifically, if you're not wearing a mask, no one cares. You go into a store, they go, heh, it's okay, he's probably exempt, or I don't really care, I don't get paid enough. They don't interact with you in stores here. In the US, you know how they just jump up to you like, hi, welcome to the store, wanna buy things? It will be an immediate, you step a little toe in the store and you've forgotten to put your mask back on when you walked outside, and you will have someone pounce on you. Honestly, every single time, it was such a bizarre experience that I would just have, hey, you, wear a mask, I'm so sorry. And at one point during the trip, I'd accidentally left my mask in the car and I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry, I don't have it. He went, here you go. And there's a guy just walking around with masks. And I just thought, this is so much not what I was expecting based on the media that I had consumed. Now, if you're an American from a different area, I'm assuming you'll probably say, oh, that's just LA. But even still, I was just really impressed with how on the ball they are about masks, especially considering how completely different it is in the UK. It almost feels like a bizarre world in a way from what I was expecting. The next thing I noticed is one of those things that I always forget just how bad it is. I'll watch all these videos on it and be like, yeah, that's true. But until you really go to America, you can't truly fathom how unwalkable everything is. It's so incredibly dreadful. Even arriving at the airport, the hub where you've entered the city, there is no way to walk anywhere. I literally had rented a car from the LAX Avis, just to pick up a car. It was a 30-minute walk down this shot here. Look at disgusting prison wall next to the freeway. I could have just got hit. It was breathing exhaust everywhere. It was disgusting. Basically not possible. Thankfully, the car rental company did have a specific shuttle that we found out afterwards, but I just found it so ridiculous that I couldn't just walk 1 mile to pick up my car. It just not even a thing. And while I was there, I realized that all the places that I wanted to show my friends in LA to be like, oh, look at this, isn't this great? I love this place. All those places were pretty much just the only walkable parts of the city, and I realized that's probably why I inherently love them so much. Just going to 3rd Street Promenade, pedestrianized, no cars. You can just walk and have a great time, and you have to go to these places, these parts of the city, to enjoy a walk. And it's worth it, but it's wild that it's just in these specific areas. Also, that being said, as much as I'm like, I love walking, oh God, driving is just so freaking enjoyable in America. It's just so amazing. Obviously, because it's so bad for people that are walking, but oh God, it's just a dream. As soon as I got into my car, it just felt like I was home, like all the dreams I have every night of me driving behind the wheel, boom, I was there. It felt like breathing. I genuinely miss driving so much here, and I know I could, but really in London, it doesn't quite make sense. Like, I'm so sorted, but oh, I do really want to get my UK driver's license just so I can like rent a car and go on road trips, because the feeling of just being behind a wheel and driving on their amazing banked roads, going wherever you want, phenomenal. Except when it comes to like trying to turn left on like an 8-lane motorway, that's a bit much. Oh. It's also funny because like we'd park at a Target to pick up some things, and even though there'd be a Starbucks like across the street, there just isn't a way of walking there. It'd be so gross that we just get in the car, but it's like second nature eventually. You're like, oh yes, just going to drive here, drive there. It truly is a place built for cars. Like the one thing that I was thinking about on like day 3, there are so many highways all around every single house that I just feel like the quality of air there, especially considering there's like airplanes flying right over you, cannot be good. Coming from someone from London, I'm like, that's too much for me. Now, every time we got on the road, without fail, I don't know if it's as bad in other cities or other states, but every freaking mile, there'd be 1 or 2 different billboards for lawyers. Just, hey, if you've gotten in an accident, I'm gonna help you out. Hello, my name is Sweet James, I'm the beard of justice. And there'll just be more and more and more. So many freaking lawyer ads. Is everyone getting in accidents? Everyone's suing. It feels like it's a stereotype in America, but with all these ads, I was like, I guess it's true. It even got to the point where I saw a billboard saying, are you tired of lawyer billboards? Yeah. But then it was just a lawyer promoting you're part of the problem. I thought that was so funny. Why? Another thing I just really didn't expect was groceries are hella expensive out in California. Maybe it's not as bad in other states. I would assume it might be cheaper in California considering a lot of the produce is made there, but goddamn, an onion was $1. That's wild. I can get like 3 or 4 for a friggin' Hey Siri, shut the f up. Smart home? Nah. Now, I was at Trader Joe's, but it's not that bad. I also went to Slater Bros. I don't know if that's named like that on purpose. It's just as expensive. Like everything was as expensive. The bread, the milk, I was just a bit surprised because in the UK, maybe I'm just used to the prices of things and how things steadily go up with inflation. But in the US, it's just like, boom, wow, okay. It basically made it feel like I might as well just go out to eat because the groceries were so expensive. I mean, speaking of going out to eat though, oh man, the amount of restaurants, so good. Oh, portions, yes, large. But also, I just get caught off guard so many times, despite being a server for 5 years, about how expensive it is eating out subtly. You'll be like, oh, that's not so bad. It's gonna be like $15 for this full meal and drink, and oh, there's the sales tax on top. Oh yes, I also have the tip because I'm not a piece of like, it gets really, really bad. You go in thinking this is an affordable thing, and then everything just keeps getting tacked on. Speaking of tipping though, if you haven't seen my video talking about the history of tipping in the US and why it's a thing and why it's bad, something I found interesting was at one point during our road trip, we took a pit stop to an IHOP just to pick up a quick bite before going to Joshua Tree. And I was speaking to the server there, and he was telling me he makes $15 an hour, and he currently rents a place near Palm Springs that's like $1,200 a month. And I was blown away by this because, as you know, I made $213 an hour, not including tips in New Jersey. So the fact that this guy was making 15 at an IHOP, not including tips, I was like, wow, that's not that bad. Like, that's 8 times what I was making. It's just good. Like, that made me feel a bit better. I know California has some of the highest rates of minimum wage and such in the States. So I was just like, that's comforting, you know, thank God, at least, that that's a thing. Also, $1,200 for a place in Palm Springs, I was like, that's also not too bad. I think he lives alone, so reasonable. Not in LA, sure, but not bad. I don't consider myself a coffee snob. I just know what good coffee tastes like. And I'm okay with subpar coffee, and LA isn't known for its coffee. But Jesus Christ, I actually got to do an American thing. Still haven't Britishized enough because when we went to some vegan restaurant and they made me a nice flat white with oat milk, which shouldn't be bad, there's nothing wrong with oat milk, I swear, I was grimacing trying to drink this thing. Not me being like, oh, it's just not the perfect no, so bad. Even Heather was not able to drink the whole thing, and I had to say, you know what, I'm not paying for this. And I had to be like, hey, listen, I'm really sorry. Is there something wrong with your machine? Because this coffee tastes, honestly, like one of the worst coffees I've ever had. Being honest, I'm not saying it was her fault, but I ended up watching them clean the coffee machine out for the next 20 minutes we were there, which is good because I saved the future customers the pain of that coffee. LA, not known for its coffee. Ugh. Now, I don't drive in the UK, but my friend Luke was incredibly happy and impressed with the way parking meters exist in LA. Now, the parking situation in LA is a different story. Just driving around for 20 minutes trying to find a place to park. You're allowed to do this on Tuesdays, but not on Thursdays between 7 and 8. Okay, I don't understand it either, strict cleaning, whatever. But parking meters are very convenient. They're really placed places so you can just quickly pay. Sometimes it's under $1. It's very good, especially compared to the way it is in London, where most of the time you have to go to a machine a bit down the road and then come back, and it just seems really easy. I'm currently watching a sunset in London right now, and though it is quite pretty, honestly, nothing compared to LA sunsets. Every single day they have a beautiful sunset in the West Coast. Every day it is like a breathtaking sunset that you have to stop and look at. And it's just one of those things that I'm just so blessed to get to see, these beautiful LA sunsets that I assume the people there just get used to. I don't think I could get used to them. They're just so freaking pretty. I would just take out my camera and be like, I must capture this. And now the bit that comes with me having been in the UK for so long. So I found bits of my trip a bit scary in ways that I wasn't really expecting. Like, I'm used to being in a city. I live in London. It's one of the biggest cities, you know, it's a big boy. But there were just so many types of people that would make me feel uncomfortable in anywhere that I was in LA that I felt so unsettled at all times being in public. There would be, at one point, literally one of our first days there, we just saw a man in DTLA picking up a bin and just throwing it in the road and just screaming and kicking and throwing bins. It was like a whole affair, and I was like, oh my God, holy crap. We would be walking down the street and we'd hear this woman yell, "The devil is alive!" And I'd be like, oh, okay. That's cool. Or I would just be at a gas station and there'd be somebody walking up to the till, twitching and then talking to me and being like, "You got the munchies?" And I'm like, no. So it just felt like maybe I'd be more used to it if I was in the US. It's something that I'd be desensitized to and just be like, that's LA. But I just felt so much like an outsider that didn't feel comfortable with any of it. It was so off-putting, and I was like, I hope they're okay. I don't know, geez, that's such a bad situation. Also, pretty much on every street you would turn, there would be this huge compound of homeless people living together, and it just felt like such a rough situation for everyone involved. And it's one of those things that's unavoidable. The problem's gotten so bad that it is this unavoidable thing that I assume people just have to avoid because they're desensitized to it. But these are people living, their lives and needing help. And I don't have an answer for how to solve that problem. It's just the wealth inequality in the US is just insane, especially in California. Even though I'm I'm showing my friends all of American culture, I love this place, I've been to LA 10 times, let's do a road trip. It still made me feel very much so strongly I'm visiting this place that's not my own anymore. Which, if you're someone else that has ever moved home like that, especially later in life, it's a weird feeling to be almost living as an outsider in a place that's not meant to feel like you're an outsider, Just a bit weird. And one final interesting story I thought I'd throw in here. One of our final days, we were doing a road trip in Joshua Tree, and we were looking for some groceries, right? And so Heather, she puts the location, she puts the word groceries into Google Maps, it's directing us, we turn left, we turn right through the desert, and then all of a sudden, oh God, no turning back, what's this mean? Oh, we're going into a military compound. What? The guy stops, he asks for my license, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Google Maps was trying to take me in. He was like, you just gotta turn around, I'll give you your license back. It was a giant military compound in the middle of the town. I was just a bit surprised that Google Maps would try and take me there, a place that is exclusively for military people. I don't know, it's just not a thing that I really think is as likely to happen in the UK or really most anywhere in Europe except for maybe American compounds. So, has that happened to any Americans out there? I know there's a huge amount of military bases in the US and also American bases all over the world, but that was my first time accidentally stumbling into one and being like, what are they doing here? It's the desert. they nuking shit? But at the end of the day, I really enjoyed my trip to California, and I really love visiting the States, especially just to visit. I don't necessarily know about living there full time, but I really love being able to just get in, enjoy a bit of the culture, and come back. And also, the travel vlogs I did so far for California are some of my favorites I've done, because it's just me showing my friends American culture. So if you haven't checked any of those out, I'll make a playlist of the ones that I've uploaded so far. A bit overwhelmed with editing this week, but anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you here on the next one. Goodbye.